Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Scoreboard Keepers. I am your host, the Ref, and we'll be right back in 30 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Scoreboard Keepers. You're around here, we don't keep receipts, we keep the score. So if you want to get on the board, make your point. If it makes sense, we'll add it to the board. If it don't, we won't. Scoreboard Keepers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Scoreboard Keepers. This is only going to take 10 minutes. We're going to get this clock rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? The Pittsburgh Steelers have never had an issue with wide receivers, whether it be drafting or getting them in free agency. Now, all of a sudden, in 2024, they find themselves in desperate need of a wide receiver, like some other teams. Baltimore Ravens need a receiver. New Orleans Saints needs a receiver. Obviously, the New York Jets needs another receiver. And all the good receivers, top receivers are basically gone right now. So anybody that's popping their head up during this trade deadline, these teams are on it just like it was in the beginning of the year. The market just goes crazy for these receivers, and all of a sudden, Davante Adams pops up. 31-year-old Davante Adams, who probably sitting back and looking at the money that's flying around with these wide receivers and saying, hey, I want out of Las Vegas Raiders. Come and get me. I'm 31, but maybe I can get this last big deal so we can go out here and rob a team of all of their assets. Let's go out here and rob a team for all their assets, even though I only have a good 2, maybe 3 years in me for you. Versus you going out and giving up that second round pick and finding somebody in that draft that can give you a good 10 and possibly a Hall of Fame. And knowing the Steelers, they're good for getting good receivers. But the problem is, it just doesn't stop there for the Pittsburgh Steelers. These fans, I call them the Duck Hodges fans, the Mason Rudolph fans, the Kenny Pickett fans. They're like they like cheering for Rudy. They like playing the underdog role. Well, this ain't the time for that. This ain't the time for that. This is not the time to be playing that role. That role has gotten you winning seasons for about 10, 15 years and no playoff wins. And this is ridiculous at this point. When you have a defense playing as well as the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is playing right now, that defense is good enough to win you a Super Bowl. It's good enough to win your Super Bowl. Most time, teams don't have defenses that play that well year in and year out. At some point, the offense has to take some responsibility. It's time to take the training wheels off of Justin Fields. He is what he is. You're playing safe, but these teams out here are playing to win. You got to let him be who he's going to be. He has to make mistakes along the way so they can be corrected. Not pop up down the road somewhere when it counts the most. But that's just not the only issue. As you can see on the board, Ben Skoranic's on the board. Okay? Ben Skowronek, that played on the other side of Cooper Kupp. This guy can play some ball. Okay? I don't know if the Steelers know how to actually use him. I don't know if the Steelers actually know how to use this man. Because he should be in full effect after he comes back off of whatever injury that he has right now. But even when he wasn't hurt, he should have been getting the ball more. Whether it's receiving, whether it's mismatching, whether it's using him as a Swiss Army knife, he should be all over the field, put in different positions where he can be effective the most. So I don't know whether it's the offense. I don't know whether it's the personnel that they're afraid to take out of there. But whatever the issue is, it needs to be rectified because this man played on a Super Bowl team. We don't have anybody on our team close to that, and that's including George Pickens. There's nobody on the Pittsburgh Steelers team that's close to doing that. Okay? until proven otherwise. This man needs to be involved in the offense heavily because he's a mismatch problem. But that's not the only issue. See, the issue always runs a little deeper than what it is on the surface. Okay. Now we talk about all sports up here. We cover all sports. We talk about all teams, NBA, basketball, NHL, whatever, baseball, MLB, whatever it is. But we happen to be talking about this situation because there's a hot receiver on the market right now, Devontae Adams, A.T. Perry, okay, they're from the Saints who just got recently released. Okay, so there's going to be teams out there hunting for these guys, and somebody's going to get robbed going after these receivers because they're getting let go so late. So at this point in time, teams are going to be desperate. So this is the perfect time to put them out there in the water. But that ain't the only problem. Right here, Calvin Austin III. What is he doing? His career stats is 21 games played, 21 receptions on 40 targets, 305 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So is the problem really talent, right? Is the problem really talent? Is it like we don't have nobody there that can do better than this? Is that the question? Is that the issue? No, it's not the issue. We're all out here on this market, and we're all here playing games and looking around and this, that, and the other one. Sometimes what you need is right in your backyard. You just have to go and find it. You guys are out there saying, what do I mean? What do I mean? See, this is about Pittsburgh still. See, when you talk to Pittsburgh fans, you don't ever hear them talking about these kind of things. You don't hear them talking about what I'm talking about right now because they're stuck on these players that they get so attached to. This is the problem. Brandon Johnson. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed Brandon Johnson a few months back, maybe last month. He's been sitting there on a practice squad, probably learning the plays or whatever, right? This man played with Russell Wilson last year with the Denver Broncos. And I'm telling you, if he gets on that field, he's taking somebody's job. There ain't a receiver out there right now that I think is more qualified to play than this man. Look at his numbers. 2023, 19 receptions on 30 targets, 284 yards, and 4 touchdowns in 13 games and only 2 starts. And guess what, people? Guess what? That was only in 1 year. That's better than Calvin Austin's receiving numbers for his entire career so far. But you know what? Men and women lie, but the numbers don't. This man is right there. And if he gets in that game, he's taking somebody's job. You can't be afraid to bench somebody. Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about?
Broncos football. Stidham still in there.
How can people not know this? How can people not know that type of talent is sitting on the doggone? How can people not know that this talent is sitting on the doggone practice squad? How could you not? This is Russell Wilson rolling out. This look familiar? We got both of them. So how in the world are these two players not in the game? You look at this guy. You think Russell Wilson was not telling the Pittsburgh Steelers to grab this guy? Do you think you think Russell Wilson was not in that office saying pick up and grab this guy? This guy is like his Charlie Brown blanket. He seems to always be open. Catch and run after the yak yards. Have you seen anybody else doing that in the entire receiving corps right now? Maybe George Pickens every now and then. Look at this Hail Mary, and look who comes up with the ball. Look at that. Are you telling me? Are you kidding me right now? No, Russell Wilson, the quarterback. Okay, the quarterback. This the type of things that can get under people's skin because you have the talent there. And I'm telling you right now, this guy gets in the game, you can bench Calvin Austin. You can go ahead and send Calvin Austin. Look at this pretty pass from Russell Wilson. Yeah, everybody's saying, who's Brandon Johnson? Yeah, that's who Brandon Johnson is. And look at him. That's Russell Wilson. You got both of them on the roster. Look at the pretty pass. It's ridiculous at this point. It really is. It's ridiculous that you got to be going out here and everybody's talking about Justin Fields. Yeah, Justin Fields is nice. He is the future. But right now, if you put Russell Wilson in this offense with this guy, Brandon Johnson, and Ben Skoranek in the right position, and Russell being able to do his job, look at this guy. He knows how to get to the end zone. You talking about 28 points a game easily around all that other talent. This guy cuts up the middle of the defense. He's big. Does he remind you of somebody? Maybe Brandon Ayuk? Possibly. But it's ridiculous. Look at this. Catch, run, in the end zone. Look at that. You don't have – when have you ever seen Calvin Austin do that? You haven't. He caught one touchdown last week, okay? One touchdown last week that he went for the distance, okay? That's the first time we've really seen him do that. But this guy right here, I'm just telling you, this is what he does. He specializes in catching the ball and running after he catches it. And I'm telling you, if he gets in a game, somebody's going to have to be benched because all he seems to do is move the chains. So what are the Pittsburgh Steelers doing? What are they doing? What seems to be the issue? Look at them dancing all in the end zone. Yeah. So the talent is there. You just have to utilize it. You just have to find it. And it's no excuse. I can't find any excuse right now for them not being able to find a way to get this man in the game. And I told you that was only going to take 10 minutes. And I appreciate you guys. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you leave your comments. Tell me how you feel. Score.